tell children. In fact, in many grade schools, the teachers use this Gemara. Perhaps they abuse it, but let's learn the Gemara. It's extremely relevant. The Gemara tells about Rabbi Alexandroi. Rabbi Alexandroi, there was a Moira that his name was Rabbi Alexandroi. What happened? One day Rabbi Alexandroi went marching through the streets of his town. Machriz Rabbi Alexandroi. He went through the streets of his town and he was calling out in the streets to the people, Man boy chai, man boy chai. Who wants life? Who wants life? Walking through the streets, shouting in the streets, who wants life? Man boy chai, man boy chai. Who wants life? The Niflu Kulayal. So all the people in the community gathered together. Somebody is marching around in the streets, and especially Rabbi Alexandroi, and he says, I'm giving out life. What's more precious than that? So everyone gathered around. So also Lagabe and everyone gathered near him. He said, no, what is this that you have to say to us? Who wants life? Who wants life? Amrulei, Havlam Chai. So they said to give us life. Amrulu, he said to them, he quoted to them a sentence, a pasuk from Tehillim, Mi ha'ish et hafetz chayim. David HaMelech, King David said in the Psalms, who is the man that desires life? Mi ha'ish et hafetz chayim. And he said, Mitzar l'shoin chameira. You desire life? Guard your tongue from evil. Do not speak evil about people. Do not speak evil. The people gathered around. He was calling out, Man boy chaya, man boy chaya, who wants life? And this was a type of irony. And they thought he had some sort of a potion for life. And instead of giving them a potion for long life, he told them, he delivered to them this very famous topic, this very famous sentence from the Psalms, from Tehillim. He says that David HaMelech said, King David said, that Miha Isha Chafet Chaim, if you want life, Nitzor L'Shoin Chameira. Guard your tongue from speaking evil about your neighbor. And then he continued to say one more thing. And he said to them, Shema Yoimar Odam. Since I just told you that a way to come to the source of life is not by desisting from speaking Lashon Hara. The Shema Yoimar, maybe a person will say, Hoyu v'notzarti es l'shoini meira u'sefosai midaber yilma. Since Rabbi Alexandroi said that the secret of life is, the secret, the key to life is not to speak Lashon Hara, not to speak evil of your neighbor. Eilech v'agara b'shina, so I'll sleep a lot. I'll go and I'll sleep most of the day, so I'm not talking Lashon Hara, I'm not speaking evil of anyone, and I will have access to life. Talmud Loima, so in this same chapter it says, Su'mi Rava Asay, you should turn away from evil and do good. Su'mi Rava Asay, turn away from evil and do good. The Ein Toiv El Torah, what do you mean do good? What does it mean to do good? The only true goodness that there is in the world is the study of Torah. Shenema ki lekach toiv nosati lachem taroisi al tazoyim. I have given you lekach toiv, I've given you the Torah, see not to read it over. Okay, let's try to review it quickly. What was the story? The story was that Rabbi Alexandroi was walking in the street and he called out, Man Boyachaya, who wants life? And everybody gathered around him and expected something, and he told them the pasuk of Mia Isha Chafetz Chaim, who is the man that desires life, and so the Shem from Mirah, because Dacham and Rabbi Nirmos, he's from talking Lashon Hara, and you have life. And then he continued to tell them, and do not think that this is the whole key to life. The key to life is not something it's in the cessation of activities, but it involves. It demands the person's involvement in creative activities. He says, say time, you have to do time, and then say time. It's a beautiful story. I can understand teachers they wanting to teach the children not to speak Lashon Hara, to tell them the story about this man, sounds like a fairy tale, and man running through the streets and saying, Man Boyachai, but we know, people who have studied the Gemara and studied the Talmud know that there are no fairy tales here. That everything here is precise. What is the story here? What was he doing? What was the question that he was asking Man Boyachai, and what was the answer? What was the question and what was the answer? And the question was one, Man Boyachai, and the answer is in two steps. He told them not to do evil, and then he told them that they must do good and do good as they study. So what's going on during the Gemara? On a mature level to understand what's going on in the Gemara. From the question itself that Rabbi Alexandroi called out Man Boyachaya, we know that vegetating is not living. There's a difference between vegetating and living. I've heard young people say to me, I don't feel alive. What do you mean you're not alive? Take your pulse, you're alive. Take your blood pressure, you're alive. I've heard young people say to me, I'm dead. On the inside, I'm dead. Heavens, Rahman al-Islam, how many times I have heard young, intelligent, gifted people say, I'm dead. I have all kinds of people say. So the question is, what is life? There is such a thing that there, man boy chai. What is life? What is pure living? What is life? You could go on the streets today, you can go on the most Ivy League campus, you can scream, Man Boy Chai. Where is life? Who's in touch with life? Someone who eats macrobiotic foods, he's in touch with life. Someone who takes drugs, he's in touch with life. The question is a valid matter, and it's a valid question in all times that we're living now. The question is a very good. What is life? What's called being alive? Yesterday I was reading in a secular source about a very creative artist who died at a young age, just in 1970. So I'm reading in the book that he was so creative, only if he took this and this drug, so then his creativity came out. This is life. And if he wasn't on this drug, he was a dry twig. So the question is a gewaltige question. Man boye chaya. Who wants to see life in its fullness, in its totality, in its full strength? This is the question, Man boye chaya. What is life? 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 The difference between living and vegetating and floating along. He said, he told them a tremendous thing. He took out the Tehillim and he showed them the pasuk that we all know. That David HaMelech dealt with this problem until him. Who is the man that desires to contact life in its fullness, in its purity? Who, in its maximal pulsation, said, oh, I have life in my hand. She told him a peculiar sentence. She told him, first of all, mitzvah l'shoichem eira. Cease to speak lashon hara. Here we must stop for a few moments. Lashon hara, an evil tongue. The Chafetz Chaim died in the 30s, 34, 35, he passed away. Wrote a monumental work concerning the laws of an evil tongue. He enumerated, who knows how many lavin are involved in a person's speech. What's so terrible? And he didn't make it up. He collected this from the Shabbat and the Talmud and the Midrashim and from the whole Torah Shabbal Peh. Person could ask a question. What is so terrible about Lashon Hara? Rebbeinu Shalom, I understand murder is terrible, and Avodah Zarah, idolatry is terrible, and Gilui Arayos is terrible, immorality is terrible. So a person sits by the table and relaxes, the husband comes home, and he says to his wife, he's a rat, he's stingy. She says, he's stingy, she's stingy. And they sit and they relax and they take a few people apart. You take the quarter of a chicken apart, and as you're doing that, you eat up 6, 7, 8 people. What's wrong? I mean, it's so relaxing. What is the tumult? What is the tremendous tumult about Lashon Hara? People will tell you it causes disunity, it causes friction. This is all true. I thought this morning that this is not the root of the Torah's objection. The Torah's extreme objection and rejection of any type of Lashon Hara. I was this morning saying, what is it? I think hitting somebody is worse. You go over, you punch somebody in the nose, which is prohibited by the Torah, is worse. Insulting somebody in the Torah is a bigger Torah. You don't find so many prohibitions against insulting and hitting what you find against Lashon Hara. I think the Chafetz Chaim counts out, in the tens and tens of prohibitions from the Torah against Lashon Hara. I was learning this Gemara this morning. An idea occurred to me. Rav Alexandroi asked a question. He said, you want to contact life in its full tone life. The first thing you have to stop Lashon Hara is not only on a person. We find in Tanakh Lashon Hara on Eretz Yisrael, on a piece of land. The Meraglim spoke Lashon Hara on Eretz Yisrael. It's not a lie. It's not a person. It doesn't have hands and feet. It occurred to me that I'll take a random number, but it's not far from true, that 98% of the Lashon Hara that is spoken comes from a deficiency feeling in a person. 98% of what we speak Lashon Hara comes from insecurity in ourselves. We feel we're not secure with ourselves. We feel lack. And I have seen people, men and women, who are talented, who are intelligent, who are sensitive, who are saturated, who are pickled. Their tongue is pickled in Lashon Hara. And I looked closely and I saw a person who's not sure of themselves. Just as a person needs a drink of water a few times a day, a person has to eat 2-3 times a day. Some people have to have coffee a few times a day, healthy or not healthy. There are people who must, at every opportunity, speak Lashon Hara on people, where they live, what they have, their position in life. Lashon Hara is a form of projecting negativity on all around me in order to secure myself, in order to give myself a boost. And the more Lashon Hara that you speak, and the deeper that a person becomes in speaking about other people, the more he loses contact with his own reality. This one is not clean, and he's not smart. He's a shrewd businessman, but he's a crook. I'm honest. This one's not clean. Oh, I'm a good housekeeper. Or she don't know how to cook. I'm a great cook. She don't know how to bring up her children. I'm going to bring up my children. I'm talking to women. I'm talking to men. The same thing goes on wherever he was. If you're willing and you take out a moment to think into the anatomy, the dynamics of an evil tongue is a form of drugs. You ever read Thomas de Quincey, the Confessions of an English opium eater? He was depressed and this and that. And he wrote how he took opium. All of a sudden he was in a world of beauty. He forgot about his pain. He forgot about everything. He lived in a world, a positive world. And that's a real world. Lashon Hara is a form of drugs. And I'm not only talking about Lashon Hara about people. The teacher is no good, and the schoolroom is no good, and the books are no good, and the job is no good. The boss is no good, and the train is no good, and everything is no good. And all this is saying, therefore I am exonerated. Machaz Rabbiana, Imam Boy Chai Rabbiana called out the first, you want to contact life, you want to be in touch with life, you want to feel life running through your body, you want to feel life in your neshama. The first thing is you must divest yourself of all the negativity. You must throw yourself upon yourself, you must accept yourself as you are first, and rid yourself of slandering everyone and everybody and everything in your circumstance. You must come in contact with yourself alone. Man boy chayer machres Rabbi Alexandroi, he called out, he says, you want to come in contact with life? Show them the pasuk until Misha Yisha Chofetz Chaim Nitzor L'Shoicha Meiro. Stop speaking negatively. Turn it off. It will be painful. You'll be left with your insecurities and your inferior feelings. But that pain is birth pain. Because if you'll stop talking about anybody else and you'll look into yourself, and you'll see your insecurities, but you'll be left with yourself, you'll find out about your qualities too. Your true qualities. And you look into your insecurities, and you might perhaps find a way and develop a desire to deal with that. If you run in the streets, he says, Man boy, you want to live? You want to cease vegetating? The first thing is, stop speaking negatively. He said, okay, you think that's the end of life? No, that's not the cure yet. That is just a corridor. That's just creating a road. Let's talk a little bit about the second half of what he said, about Torah. What does that mean? I don't understand what the Rebbeinu creation mean, what it means. A minute. Let me tell you something. was a very, very, very big Jew, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek. You know, I must have home from him, you wouldn't believe it. I must have about 70 volumes home from him. Must be. You ever take a few volumes and then I finish publishing? I don't know how it was humanly possible to write some. I want to repeat something that he said and try and explain it. He said that before Mashiach comes, we look for oros, for lights. He says that after Mashiach will come, we'll look for kalim, we'll look for vessels. Again, he said before Mashiach comes, we look for oros, for lights. He says, and after Mashiach will come, we will look for vessels. Let's talk about this. I want to explain this. Talk about it. You open up growth, books on growth. I tell you, in books, people are groping around. People are searching. People, there's a quest. There is a sincere quest to grow in the world. There are people who feel that we are stunted. People know that our growth is stunted. You go to school, you graduate. It's lucky that they're at school, because the only way today, there are only two ways to feel any possible growth, which is false growth. You bring home a report card, oh, you got this mark, you take an IQ test, so you get that mark. You don't take an IQ test every day. So you bring home a report card, and then you got a diploma from grade school, and then you go another 4 years, or 3 years, 4 years. I got a diploma from high school. I'm growing. Then you come home from university, and you got a degree from university, and they tell you can become a taxi driver with that. It's a job you can't get with. Then you go back to university and get another 2-3 degrees. I grow. But all this is all false growth. It's not in real life. We know it. You can be a professor in the university and be as immature as a day-year-old baby. Growth, maturity, to reach nobility, the nobility of man, for a person to grow. You only grow if lights are turned on in your head. And now I must quote you a line of Gemara that comes, and this is in the Gemara in Avodah Zarah, your test, the day. Then it's a line of Gemara, an amazing piece of Gemara. An amazing piece of Gemara. The next piece of Gemara talks about the Malach HaMavet, the angel of death. And the Gemara says a peculiar thing, that before a person dies, the angel of the death appears to him. And what does he look like? The Gemara says, Shekuloi Molei Einayim, that the angel of death, his head, his face is all full of eyes. Human being has 2 eyes. And his whole head is eyes and eyes and eyes and eyes and eyes. Who knows how many eyes? Got a big head, got a lot of eyes. It begs, Eina Nikra Zeller and Darsheni, the Gemara begs to say, what does it mean? What does it mean? The angel of death is full of eyes. So the Nesivis said, there's Mefarish this Gemara and push it up. He says, what does it mean, eyes, in Tanakh? He says, Job said, there's a sentence in Job where he said, where he was complaining about the good that he did in his life, about his righteousness. He says, Einayim hoyisi le'iver. He says, wasn't I eyes for the blind man? What does the sentence mean over there? He's not talking about something else to line. He meant, wasn't I a teacher? Didn't I make people understand? Didn't I help people in the darkness? Didn't I enlighten them? The Gemara calls, for instance, the Sanhedrin, the title for the Sanhedrin is, the Chief Supreme Court of the judicial system, of the Torah judicial system, is called Eidei Ha'eda. They're called the eyes of the community. What do you mean the Sanhedrin is the eyes of it? Because the true understanding, the true insight into the social reality was defined through the Sanhedrin. So the Nesidah says, that eyes mean in Tanakh and in Gemara means uncovering that which is not apparent, understanding. So he says, this is what the Gemara means. A person, Rahman al-Islam, is lying on his deathbed. He lived 99 years through the world. The angel of death comes, he has thousands of devices in the last moment. A person looks back in his life and says, oy vey, my whole life, how many years did I dedicate to my little choo-choo train set? I had a collection of choo-choo trains. You ever see the big people amazing? That choo-choo train set's as big as this whole room. And there are people that save money to buy themselves little mountains, little listen, they play days and hours and collect choo-choo train sets. Maybe it's a good relaxation. But before a person dies, a person looks back and says, what did I do in my life? He begins to see. I was in a room with a man, you shouldn't know it, a man who collected $2 million. Those days, $2 million was like they say today, $20 million. And he lost his wife, he lost 2 children, he was left alone. His son, 40 years old, died, and he was left with his $2 million. I was sitting in the room, he was running back and forth, screaming, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, the whole life is a lie. What do you mean it's a lie? You have $2 million? $2 million is a lie. The Malach HaMavis opened his eyes. He was living, an existence. He thought his son, he'll give his $2 million to his son, and he'll live after him. He achieved eternity through his son. The son will make from the $2 million, $6 million, and it's gonna be, and all of a sudden, the Rabbi said, what are you talking about? You know that's gonna go over to your son? So the Gemara says, the Malach HaMavis, you know what the Malach HaMavis says in the last moment? In the last moments when a person looks back in retrospect, he says, the angel of death is full of eyes. You see, at that moment, you see everything. Then you gain insight. Then you get eyes to see. Rabbi Hanai said, that Tzemach Tzedek said, today, during life, growth is dependent upon one thing. Oilers, lights. Lights. I meet people. I used to meet people during the 60s. I didn't believe my ears. I didn't believe my eyes. The stories that I heard and the people that I saw. People were rushing to communion. Well, as they say to a boy, what are you going to? What are you doing? Where are you running? What are you? Talk to the wall. The egocentric impetuosity. He's running and he's, that's the word. There's a life, there's a community, there are things, it's not so simple, a communa in, a communa here. It sounds good, it's very, very good. Then a fellow comes to me, he came from a commune. I say to him, tell me what's in the commune? He says to me, Rabbi, please, he says, what I have to say about a commune, I can't say in front of you, he says, but it's all negative, and stop to tell me what a commune was. A rat race. There are other communes. In life, Tzemach Tzedek says you need oiris, you need light to understand what's what. You need. In the Olam Hazeh Doim Alayla, he says now we search for how does a man grow through light in his head. You need oiris. The world is dark. The world is dark. I was a little boy. I heard somebody whisper to my mother that there was the hospital, the Bethel, today is the Brookdale Hospital. That name, Bethel, wasn't good enough for them, so they changed it to Brookdale. So somebody whispered to my mother that there's a family on the other blocks down there, that they have a son who works in the hospital, that they pay 6 trucks. It was like, I didn't know what it was. I heard the word. And it was. And I said, it's not an insanity. The world is not dark. The world is not dark. So you think, the world is not dark. The intellectual world is not dark. If a professor from Harvard, Timothy Leary, came and made the whole world crazy. So the Tzemach Tzedek says we have to look for Oiris. We have to dig and burrow and search and toil and break our will and humiliate ourselves before the emes to find the light should go on ahead to know how to live. Because there's a storm in the world. There's a dark storm in the world. So that's before Mashiach. When Mashiach will come, it will be like Himalaya or when Mashiach will come, the world will be filled with light, with the light of Emes, with the light of Torah. He says, then our heads will be too small. We'll beg for kelim, we'll beg for vessels. Rebbeinu Shalom, today I can fetch up so much light. Give me vessels to be able to internalize and to integrate all the light that there is in the world. Rabbi Alexandroi said, you want to come in contact with light? Rabbi Alexandroi said, you want to come in contact? I'll tell you how to come in contact with light. The first thing, you got to rid yourself and divest yourself of negative functionings. Stop talking about people. Talk about yourself. It says in the contemporary Musa Sfarim, I saw from a big tzaddik 50, 60 years ago, he says like this: every time you want to speak Lashon Hara about another person, say something bad about yourself. Which is true. Not just say something bad that's false. Say something bad about yourself. But the truth is, the Gemara says, first step is divest yourself of negative velocity. The person is a motor that's running, he says, strip yourself of negative velocity, come in contact with yourself. And he says, that's not enough. He says, then I say toy, learn to import and absorb light. Once a person ties his hand in his mouth and says, I'm not going to live a spurious existence, a spurious life, a false life, by knocking down this one and knocking down that one, and I get a kick for a moment, and I think, oh, I'm good. I get a feeling of charge of life. No! Stop that altogether. And then learn Twitter. These women. The women have to learn Twitter. There's so much. I'm telling you. I learned this Gemara 5:30 this morning. I was sitting, it was dark. I wanted to run. Who was I got to talk to? 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, we have to learn, we have to seek, whether we learn Chumash, we learn Tanakh, we learn Mefarshim, we learn Medrash Chazal, but to learn with an earnestness, with a toil, slowly. There's such foreign. To learn it and let ourselves bask in the light of the Torah. People run to Miami, half a Farak when the 5 pounds is empty. The shoes are half empty. Everybody's in Miami, basking in the sun. It's Gesundheit. Let them enjoy. We have to bask with a toil. What does the Chumash say? What does the Rashi say? What does the Medrash say? What does the Tanakh say? What does it say a few minutes a day? Every person, some people have more time to search for the light, to search for Oiris. What does it say here? With a humility to stand before you go, you say, you learn, you go to a class, you go home, goodbye. No, to take your whole being after you stop being negative. And take my little sack of broken bones that I have and sit before the Torah and say, what does it say to me? Oh, lights can go on. Big lights go on. Big lights go on. Doesn't happen in a day. Sometimes it can happen in a day. It's a search. It's a search that pays. You want to come in contact with, you want to see what living is, you want to touch it, you want to see what living is. These 2 things you should do. Now you understand why the big tzaddikim, the big goyim, I could never understand it. It's very, very hard to learn. Hard for a person to concentrate. The big tzaddikim, the big goyim, the diligence, their assiduousness to have money was unbelievable. And I'm not. They once they broke through and they got into it. The lights keep on going. If you feel in your head lights are going on and on and on and on, then you feel it going. It's very hard. I'm talking to myself. I'm not talking to you. Whatever I say, I'm talking to myself. We are on the we're on the periphery. We're not on the inside. We're at the little periphery. We are our weaknesses. It's a weak generation. We're standing here. We're banging at the doors. We're out in the cold and the ice, and the slippery ice we're out. But at least we're standing next to a door. We know where the door is. But this is the union of learning Torah. Every woman in every home has the woman. Want to come in contact with, you have to learn with the earnestness. No, it doesn't. The one who learns more, the one who learns less, the intention, the main thing. This is what Rabbi Yana was saying. If you do this, if you cease from being negative, I must tell you, I wish I could stay here, sit before you, and be proud of myself, and be a Balgaiva that I don't talk much. I wish I was. I tried to watch myself. But I tell you, I've met, and I'm aware of, unfortunately, wonderful people, wonderful people, I know them. It's all you hear in the houses. Blah, 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 blah. This one, that one, the other one, and this one, and that one. A boy comes to me, and you see that. I was so embarrassed. I was so hurt. He says he doesn't want to go to the Sasta Shabbos. I said, why? I'm not telling. You want to go? I said, I'm not telling. Well, either way, of course, examining somebody, getting out what I want to know. He says, I can't sit by the table. That's all I do is talk about other people. I can't do it. Very, big boy, no genius. Sweet boy, no big professor, but has a wholesomeness to him. I can't sit by the table talking about other people. Shabbos by the table and talk about other people. And in the middle of the week. That's to such a degree that a boy who needs a Shabbos refuses to go there. But the secret of Lashon Hara comes from a person's insecurity and a person's deep, subtle, profound sense of inferiority. A person who has a wholesome sense about himself talks about himself. What do you talk about? This is the Gemara of Machlis Banai. Man boy chayet. And the Malach HaMolah says, we need iris. We need iris to understand. We're surrounded with such insanity. We're wallowing in such insanity. We need not have